is currently marooned in mid-table, so it's hard to identify its true rivals at the minute. The only really safe bet is Chelsea, another typically Big Six club having a really tough season. The Blues duly make the rivals round up, with yet more transfer talks underway as Todd Boehly's massive squad overhaul continues apace. But we'll also be looking up the table, and across Europe, to some of its more traditional competitors. After all, side takes on soon, and will be confident that its rough domestic run this season is a temporary blip. As such, a transfer request is sure to catch the eye, particularly as it has ramifications closer to home. Latest injury news as Jurgen Klopp given boosts amid Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz updates. Jurgen Klopp can unlock $167 million transfer trio with one switch upon Diogo Jota return. So here's a glance around the league and further afield at what rivals have supposedly been getting up to today. Arsenal favourites for Rice claimed has a real interest in Declan Rice, but the latest story claims that Arsenal has emerged as favourites. Writing for Ben Jacobs revealed that West Ham are resigned to losing Rice, despite the bullish claims of David Moyes. Suitors are even hoping the price could be as low as $91 million, £75 million per €85 million, far lower than the sort of figures the manager has touted in public, with the player's contract due to expire next year. Arsenal has made Rice its priority, although it may have to fend off other suitors. Is not even mentioned in this report, but Chelsea is said to really want the midfielder, with Manchester United and Newcastle also in the frame. A bidding war could see Moyes get something closer to his British record asking price. .com says Declan Rice is definitely one to watch on the transfer front, but probably only on the condition that a move falls through. Clearly, a double splash that would break the club's transfer record twice in quick succession is not likely to transpire, even though the club could do with at least two signings in the center of the park. But if is beaten to the Borussia Dortmund gem, then the West Ham man is probably the closest marquee addition on the market. Chelsea in more talks. While the transfer window may have closed in England, it has seemingly not stopped Chelsea from plotting. Aside from the apparent interest in Rice, Boehly is also turning his attention to offloading players, and the club is apparently in talks with an MLS side. America represents one of the few plausible routes out for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who was surprisingly excluded from Chelsea's Champions League squad recently to help accommodate the raft of new signings. FIFA rules would prevent him from playing for a third club in the space of a year, but that only applies to leagues operating on the Euro-centric calendar. Aubameyang would be eligible to play in the next MLS season, which starts later this month. To that end, according to the productive talks have taken place between Chelsea and LAFC. The retirement of Gareth Bale has left the California-based side with a designated player slot to fill, and Aubameyang is one of multiple options being weighed up. .com says, this just underlines what a nightmare Chelsea had in the summer transfer window. It's little wonder Boehly opted to spend big again in January, with the task of effectively undoing the previous planned, poorly executed spending spree overseen by a manager who was promptly sacked. The writing always looked on the wall with Aubameyang, and Chelsea will hope its latest recruitment drive is far more successful. It at least looks more coherent. Mbappé pushes for signing from one scarcely fathomable recruitment structure to another, is reportedly leading the interest in bringing Manchester City's Bernardo Silva to PSG. Mbappé has regularly flirted with a move to, and it is unclear how much longer he will remain in the French capital. Yet it seems he holds a lot of sway behind the scenes, and the club is reportedly all too willing to accommodate his request for a reunion with his former Monaco teammate. In fairness, French outlet claims that director Luis Campos is also pushing for the move along with Mbappé. For his part, Bernardo Silva is said to want to leave Manchester City, as has been the case in numerous previous transfer windows. .com says, "It's a case of ill believe it when I see it when it comes to Bernardo Silva leaving Manchester City. The prospect has been floated multiple times before and come to nothing, so we won't be holding our breath. But for who will be looking to compete with Manchester City again sooner rather than later, the prospect of one of its undeniably talented players seeking pastures new can only be a good thing." Transfer news as Cristiano Ronaldo replacement wanted amid $122 million midfield interest. Darwin Núñez truth will arrive at after bettering Cristiano Ronaldo and Harry Kane.